we can see there is a very big battle right now with the global economic crisis, with China seeming to have more and more control over the agendas of our governments, Western governments. But even though this is the case right now, and the conditions seem very difficult, oftentimes things get worse before they get better. In a way, as we see China trying to increase its influence in the world and acting in many places, Latin America, Africa, in ways that we don't like, we don't agree with, we don't think is good for global human security, this will also bring an awareness to people. There will be a new understanding of who is this actor? What is this China? It was easy when we just bought, we bought our products from China. We made our products in China. We brought them here. We didn't have to have much to do with China. But as China seeks to increase its influence in the world, there will be a new understanding, there will be a new engagement, and that's not a bad thing for us. And that just means there's more opportunity for us to, in a way, I think, Tibet and our issue and our survival and our struggle is like a symbol and a sign for the world. And what happens to us, what is our fate in this moment under China, is in a way a sign for the world of the kind of influence and impact China will have on the world. What happens to Tibetans matters, not just for the lives of 6 million Tibetans, but for the world. And so we need to use this opportunity, this platform, this engagement, awareness, understanding, to push for a resolution for our struggle. The other thing that this is just quickly to sort of wrap up, we believe that we need to build alliances, new alliances, and we need to go places we haven't been before. And in that sense, SFT and I think others were especially focused in places like Taiwan, Japan, Hong Kong. We've built incredible support in the West, but of course in the end, the region matters. And so Tendor and I went on a tour of Taiwan, met with professors and students, and saw so many opportunities for building Tibet support in Taiwan. Tendor just went on a tour in Japan. Incredible support for Tibet in Japan. Japan is obviously a powerful player, the most powerful player in that region. So there's opportunities to build Tibet support, like has been done here, to new heights and levels over there. Hong Kong, I was in Hong Kong at the time of Losar and March 10th. We didn't think I would get in, I got in. They followed us everywhere, but they didn't stop us. And as I moved around and met with journalists, I met with some Hong Kong Chinese, some other people, supporters, allies, everybody, said the same thing. That of course, the mainland influence in Hong Kong is ever increasing. But at the same time, there's opportunities in Hong Kong for Tibet, for what, in a way, for Tibet, for Hong Kong, for Taiwan, for the region, again, is a symbol for the influence and the threat that China may or may not pose to the free world over there. And so we need to be there to use every opportunity to build alliances that can help us in our future, and in our future struggle. So that's another part. And then of course, Chinese outreach. Everybody says Chinese outreach and assumes that it means how we're gonna make friends with all the Chinese and change their minds. It's not gonna happen. Just in terms of sheer numbers, it's not gonna happen. We're not gonna change the minds of all the Chinese to see that they're wrong and we're right. It's just arrogance to think we can do that. But what we can do is be honest, work to educate, inform, and engage, especially with young Chinese who are studying in this part of the world, and ensure that they see our actions and they know what the issue is. The most important thing right now, if you saw in the film, the battle in San Francisco in the streets between the Chinese side and the Tibetan side. Some people thought that was so useless. God, it's such a, such a depressing thing. These Chinese will never get it. They don't believe us. They don't, they're so stubborn. But in a way, we have to have tension. There has to be tension before we can get a resolution. And before, we were a non-issue. We didn't even matter. Most young Chinese and future leaders of China and people in general think Tibet, it's nothing really. Now Tibet is an issue, it's a problem, and a problem demands a resolution or a solution. And that for us is better than being some quiet, non-existent issue. And it's not going to be easy, necessarily. But I don't think it's about changing. No oppressed people, no colonized people ever changes the minds of the oppressor or the colonizer to think, oh yes, we were wrong, all along. And now we must do the right thing. People and governments and colonial powers do things, move and change because it's in their interest, or because the cost of occupation or whatever they're doing, is no longer in their interest. It's too high. So in this way we have to think. And when you think about Chinese outreach, we believe that there's new opportunities now. There's a whole new generation of Chinese who know Tibetans, different, separate problem. Okay, so now we have a beginning, a starting point to work with, to use technology, information, social media, the internet, YouTube, to educate and to bring the justness of our cause and our voice, the voice of Tibetans inside Tibet, out. And let that voice, let that information help the transformation. Already the voice of Dorjee in Beijing, a Tibetan, one lone voice in Beijing, in China, one Tibetan voice has gained more attention in Chinese language. She's got something like 2 million, there was 2 million unique visitors to her site, her blog, reading Chinese, so safe to assume mostly Chinese, during the uprising and in the aftermath. That's very important for us. I think I'll pass it over to Tendor now, because those are some of the areas that we believe we need to focus in, and there's reason to hope, and there's work to do, and we have sort of a plan. I don't want to make it sound like we have a plan. We have a basic roadmap that we believe we need to follow and stay the course. And if anything, just increase our efforts. And as we've seen, Tibetans inside Tibet certainly do their job over and over again. And so we will continue to do ours and to look for new and better ways to do our work. And with the generation of Tibetans now growing up, with a new political understanding and awareness, and in free countries with more opportunity, education, I think that the impact a small handful of Tibetans can have on this world is really, can be incredible. So I'll hand it over to Tendor, and then we may take a few questions after.